Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Tonight we are back with a brand new review for Family or Fiance Season 2 Episode 2. Listen y'all, I know I am extremely behind, honey, but life happens. Okay, but I missed y'all. So child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade. If you are here for a second or third time, or you caught me last Family or Fiance review and now you're back to see what I have to say about the foolishness, then child, please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you will be updated each and every time I upload a video. Child, now enough of that. Let's get straight into it. So this week we are meeting Kim and David. Child. Let's get into it, y'all. Okay, so they met at work, right? He's in high school, math teacher, and she's a high school counselor. Well, the math wasn't mathing on this whole entire episode. So I don't know exactly what he's teaching the youth. But honey, 1 + 1 was not equaling 2. Okay. And the 2 was not equaling 4 because her sons cannot stand him. Okay. So she said David proposed not even 6 months in. Well, I mean, I guess you know when you know, I guess. Her sons aren't pleased, especially the youngest. She said if her sons can't find a common ground, they'll have to figure out where to go from here. Go nowhere. If the kids don't like it, then they got to go. Okay, because the most important thing is your children. Child, Kim was getting on my nerves this entire episode. The whole thing was just a shim sham. But honey, we gonna keep going. So they arrive to the mansion and they're greeted by Tracy. Hey girl. And they sit down to talk, and Tracy asks them how long they've been together, and they tell her that they've been engaged almost 4 years. Now this is what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, so 4 years is quite a bit of time. So you mean to tell me in 6 months he proposed, but you've been engaged for 4 years? Honey, to me, now this is just my opinion. Either he was trying to lock her down, or he did something and he was like trying to hurry up and make things right and try to keep her there with him. So he proposed. Okay. Either way, it's giving very much narcissistic abuse. Okay, I'm just saying, honey, allegedly. Okay, that's what I'm getting, because 4 years of an engagement to me is a red flag. So then Tracy was like, well, who went first, or how did it go? And he was like, yeah. So then David said, I fell in love with my therapist. That's not cute. That's not cute at all, honey. I know you thought that sounded good and you practiced that on TV. I'm going to say I fell in love with my therapist. A nut job. Okay. So then he was like, I have 5 grown children. And I was thinking, how old is he? And what is your relationship like with your 5 children? And who laid down with you 5 times? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So then he said, as far as her sons, she likes to baby them. And she said, I just believe in communicating, and he's more authoritative. And then we found out later that he was in the military. So I absolutely understand why. So Tracy said, well, I guess he's thinking, I raised 5 kids, so I know best. Her 2 sons are coming, and her sister, and she said that their issue is the way that he's raising the children, and that her boys are happy. Okay, and that sister is not having it. Do y'all hear me? So then on his side, David said his mom, his cousin, and his oldest son is coming, and they're worried it's too soon and if he's happy. First of all, it's definitely not too soon. It's been 4 years of an engagement. Okay. You've been engaged the majority of your relationship. So basically you said, hello, will you marry me? Honey, you might as well have gone on love at first sight. So I could have ripped you apart over there. Moving forward. So Tracy gives them their task, and Kim's task is to cook dinner and play 2 truths and a lie. It will help them to get to know each other. And then David's task is to play Connect the Dots. Basically a big giant game of Connect 4. But the way Tracy was explaining, I'm like, are they playing checkers? Are they playing chess? What are they playing? Tic-tac-toe? Because she's like, you're going to connect the checker pieces. But the reality is you're going to connect your son and her sister to you. And then when they got outside, it was a whole big old Connect 4. Tracy, if you don't say Connect 4, go for it. Connect 4. Honey, I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. I had to do it. So Tracy asked them if they could move forward without a resolve. Kim was like, I don't know. David, honey, you better make those 3 days work. So his family arrives first. They all greeted each other. Very pleasant greeting. Okay. Keep in mind that the greeting was pleasant. Okay. Her sons are telling the story in the car of how he took the door off the hinges because they didn't clean their room, right? And this is what I was observing. It seems that they aren't used to such a dominant male figure after growing up with only their mom. And I mean, they're dang near grown. Okay, so I mean, you coming in now with the discipline is kind of, it just really doesn't make any sense. I mean, the hard work has been done. It's best for you to come into a family that's already basically a pre-made family, just add water. So you come in to their unit. Okay, and Tracy explains this a little bit later on. And so her family was not happy to be there. Honey, as soon as they walked in, baby, that sister walked in, arms crossed, hair looking wet and stringy, honey, and right on past David. I was like, baby, the sister had a wet and wavy wig on, but it didn't quite do the wavy. Baby, she even treated his family stank. And I was thinking, now, lady, I know you want the best for your nephews and whatnot, but honey, you got to have some tact. The family didn't do anything to you. Okay, you come in, you lead by example. You speak to his family. Or they're coming in, the family speaks to them, because we had a whole big old debate last time on who's supposed to speak to whom. My thing is this: we're already on the inside. You're coming into where we are, so you need to speak. That's just the way I see it. So they all go to meet in the common area, and they ask about their concerns. His cousins was that, they have conflicting parenting styles. His mom was his anger problems. Baby. Now, of all things she could have said, she said his anger problems. And she said it gets out of control. And see, I told y'all, I knew something. Let me tell y'all a little story time that's not a story time. So my ex-husband, he met me. It was a whirlwind, affair. Next thing you know, we were quickly engaged. And I mean, it was just everything was happening so quickly. Come to find out, it's because he didn't want me to get to know him first and that rage come out. Okay, so that's just my experience. And I knew when I heard that they've been engaged for 4 years, but he proposed after 6 months. Honey, I knew someone right then, honey. And the mama just solidified it by saying he has anger issues. And when the sister heard that, baby, she was blown away. She was like, wow. Yeah, it's starting to explain why the sons feel the way that they do. And if his mom is saying that, I know that her sons have experienced it. So then his son said that the communication and bonding with her son, right? Her oldest son said that his issue was their parenting styles. I guess they're basically talking about Konner, because you can't parent a 20-year-old. CJ is out of the house, no longer living there. And so I think that they're all speaking of Konner, which is her youngest son. Her son Konner said, his mom needs to put her foot down and for him to stop comparing them to his kids. Oh, no, ma'am, honey, that would never work for me. You will not come in and make my kids feel less than. And you're coming into our fold? Oh, hey, child, I almost cussed. So her sister said, look, if you're going to be their stepfather, then you're going to need to be a part of their lives. And you're going to need to get to know them. So they tell them their task. And then David rolls up on her sister. And he said, did you say wow? She said, I did. Baby, then it's a stare down. Honey, they stared each other down for like 10 minutes straight. And I was like, you know what? He is trying to intimidate her. I was like, listen, she is definitely not Kim. She is not afraid to put her foot down, and she is not afraid to speak her speech. Also, how did you think she would receive your own mother saying you have an anger problem? What did you think she was supposed to say? Oh, an anger problem? Oh, okay. We deal with those all the time. No. If she hears that her nephews feel like they're in some sort of danger, the doors are being taken off the hinges, and now her sister is in a relationship with a man that has anger issues, wow is putting it nicely, because she could have said something else or just got up and walked away. Like something is wrong with him. So her sister said, listen, you taking the hinges off the doors, I don't like that, honey. And she walked away. I said, oh child, honey, they don't even feel comfortable around this man. So his family is in the kitchen saying they feel sorry for him. And I'm like, why? We should feel sorry for her kids and her, honey. And then his mom said, oh, he's a grown man. He needs some straightening out. Baby, that mama want him to get help by all means necessary, okay? So they start their games, and he gets asked why he feels her sons are the problem. He said, they don't respect me, especially when I'm trying to discipline them or I'm cussing. So you think they're supposed to respect you coming into their home where they've been with their mom for the longest alone, cussing them out? Oh, okay. So her sister said, respect is earned. He said, well, she agreed to taking the door off the hinge, but they don't know that. She was like, oh, okay, so see, that's the problem, that y'all need to communicate that. He said, I just get the brunt of it. I'm just the bad guy. So her son Konner said, I don't think my mom agreed to that. She just doesn't want to argue. I believe that. Looking at Kim's demeanor and the way she behaves and the way she coddles him, I definitely agree that she is just going along to get along. She definitely is not in agreement with anything that's happening. He said, you have to be more of a parent instead of a warden. Baby, her sons are very mature and they don't seem disrespectful. So what I'm trying to figure out is, why are you taking the door off the hinge? I think that's just something that you want to do to exert control. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand that kids need to listen and they need to abide by the rules. This is true. I'm not saying please do not discipline your children and, to each their own. But me, quite frankly, and me personally, I think that taking the door off the hinge is a little bit far. Okay, I'm just saying, I just think it's a little bit far. Then he gets another question about how they can improve, right? He said they don't do things to the best of their ability in his life. He feels like for him that wouldn't fly. So then Konner said, you want us to be the best. You want us to be perfect. But sometimes you just want to make it through the day. And when he said that, I said, okay, that's a cry for help right there. If your child looks at you and says, sometimes I just want to make it through the day, something is happening. Okay, you need to stop and take notice. Yes, we do want our kids to be all they can be. Okay, yes, we do want them to be the best and put their best foot forward at all times. But something is not right with that statement. Honey, I know it ain't just me. He said, well, when you get like that, some people just want to be left alone and you should just let them be. Honey, something's not right. David said, my biggest thing is y'all being self-sufficient. Their aunt said, you're not listening, honey, and he's not. They're telling you something. She said nobody wants to be pounded every day because then they'll shut down, and comparing them to your children, honey, that's a no. Okay, it's a hell no. Ain't no way. Let me tell y'all something. It ain't no way I could be with him. If it is affecting my children to the point that their self-esteem and their ability to have peace at home is compromised, honey, you got to go. Okay. Now, I know some people might say, well, he's just trying to discipline them. He's just trying to get them to be men. There is a way that you can get your point across without yelling, cussing, taking the doors off the hinges, because then you create those types of men and then they go into their families and now they're cussing and the kids don't feel heard and the kids don't feel respected and they're taking doors off the hinges. Honey, it's a whole big cycle. So she's in the kitchen playing two truths and a lie, right? So the first one was, I'm a counselor. The second was, he apologizes to me all the time first. And the third one was, I love to shop. So they were like, okay, it's definitely the second one because he definitely does not apologize. So she said, no, actually, that's the truth. He apologizes to me all the time. So then his mother was like, well, that's new because he's been really abusive to me and always angry and always yelling. And he has never apologized to me. So his cousin, who is working my nerves, she said, well, you taught him something. His mom said, well, I wish you would have taught him to apologize to me because I've apologized when I'm wrong, but he never has, no matter how bad it is. They all sat down to dinner and her sister said, look, I know I came in here on 1,000, honey, as you should. And they need someone in their corner because mom is long gone, honey. All she worried about is that man. But when she heard the doors were taken off, she didn't agree with it. And she thought it was too harsh. So his mom said, that's not harsh. She said, taking the doors off, that's not harsh. And she said, that's normal. What do y'all think? Okay, now I'm going to tell you this. My parents never went to the extreme of taking the door off, but I did know some of my friends that had that happen to them. And me personally, I think it's too harsh because it breaks trust. They already feel uncomfortable with him. Now they have to be vulnerable with the doors gone. Honey, I don't know about that one. I don't know. But what do y'all think? Y'all tell me exactly how y'all feel about it down in the comment section, okay? So his cousin said, I don't think it's harsh. When you don't follow rules in the house I pay for, then there are consequences. Well, do you know the extent of the reason why he's taking it? He said because they didn't clean their room. So you don't want them to close the door in there with the mess, but you want the mess just open for everybody to look at it as they pass by? I'm sorry. I just think that was extreme for them not wanting to clean their room. That makes absolutely no sense. So then her son Konner said, when you come somewhere and you start changing everything, it builds resentment. And I just feel over it. I just really don't even want to do anything. They're not used to having a male figure present in the home. That's a major adjustment after this many years. Some kids don't adapt to change well. Plus, he doesn't even seem like he likes her kids. You know how you can just tell if a parent or someone coming in actually likes or enjoys their kids? This man don't even look like he like these children, okay? Or these young adults. He just seems like he wants the mom, and the way to get to the mom is to be with the kids, honey, and try to make things work with the kids. But he doesn't really care about these children at all. So his mom said, you have to put the past behind you. You can't live, in your past and go to your future. Lady, didn't you just bring up how your son has never apologized for past hurt? That's living in the past. Okay? He got up, he left the table. Her oldest son said, we're used to holding things in and dealing with them on our own. It's not healthy, but it's the position that we're in right now. Oh, no, ma'am. He would have to go. You can tell when kids just want their way, but these young men seem like they are a shell of themselves just waiting to leave home. With him there, honey, they'll never be happy. And I don't care what y'all about to wave some magic wand and in these 3 days think that everything's okay, but it's not, okay? It's going to be a lie and it's going to be a facade just to get the okay from the family. Honey, y'all ain't fooling me. So then David's mom looked at him, right? And she said, does this seem familiar? She said, one thing is, Kim said you always apologize, and I have a problem with that. You've been very disrespectful to me and never apologize. My thing is this. If you don't treat your mama right, honey, how can you treat me right? That would have been a definite no for me. As soon as I figured out that he treats his mom like trash. That's one of the questions I asked. What's your relationship with your mom? Because that's actually important. Okay? So, baby, if y'all are dating and you're out there and you're getting to know him, make that one of your questions, as well as what's your credit score and do you have any dead bodies buried in the backyard? Child. So she said, you never said I'm sorry. Well, Mom, isn't that the past, honey? Let's move forward. So she said, her son has a very bad temper and he holds things inside. And if his mom is saying this, then I'm sure she knows this. I'm sure Kim has experienced this. I know Kim has felt this too, because why does he need to apologize to you so often? That's what I was thinking. When she said he's always the first to apologize, I'm like, well, what is happening that he has to apologize so many times and so often? She said, his mom said when it comes out like a volcano. Child. Now, while they're saying that, he's just sitting there, right? And he was looking crazed. Okay, that man is unstable. I'm trying not to be too hard on him, but at the same time, he just seems unstable, and it's partially his mom's fault as well. So she looked at him. She said, you're not going to say anything? She said, I could see the madness swelling up in him like I've seen before. I said, oh, child. Now, then everybody started getting nervous and moving around. He's still sitting there completely stone-faced. Baby, that is a ticking time bomb. So then Kim's sister said, are you okay? His mom said, no. He wasn't expecting this, but I need this for me. I need to talk to him about this. Baby, him and his mom need some therapy together. This is not the place. I mean some extensive therapy outside of here. So her sister said, I've never seen this side of David. Kim's son said, oh, I have. Child, So his mom is trying to talk to him, telling him he needs to let it out, right? He's like, I've been in therapy since 1997. Well, what kind of therapist hasn't accomplished anything in 24 years? How many times did you see the therapist? Once every 2 years? Child, I'm not convinced that you've been in therapy since 1997 and there's been absolutely no progress. Either you just don't want to change, you're not doing the work, or you just are set in your ways. And at this point, honey, you need somebody like Kim that's going to act like she doesn't see it. That's the only way you're going to get a woman, honey. That's crazy. Baby, that cousin jumped up. She's like, there's the anger. They are legit scared of him, baby. This unstable creature got his entire family scared. This is a glimpse of what the kids are going through behind closed doors when nobody can see, and you cannot convince me otherwise. So he looked at her and started to talk to his mom. They're yelling back and forth. She's saying he disrespected her. He's like, let me talk. She's like, no. And then Kim comes in and she starts saying to him, calm down. Look at me. Look at me. Calm down. Come down from this. I'm like, what is happening? She's rubbing him, pacifying him. Oh, he's probably definitely abusive, allegedly. Girl, why would you want to be in a relationship with someone that you had to counsel? Child, she had to talk him down off of a ledge. Kim said dinner was a disaster. It was like the Last Supper. Honey, don't put G.O.D. in this. Honey, he ain't got nothing to do with y'all and acting a fool all up and through. So the next morning, the families are having breakfast, and her sister and her are going to have a talk by the pool. Her sister said, what was that last night? Kim said, it has to do with his mom and how he was disciplined and the hurt he experienced. So her sister said, okay. Well, with that being said, it becomes a problem when your sons don't agree with the extreme discipline. She's like, well, taking the door off, it's not normal. Kim said, oh, well, that just wasn't him, but I can see how they can think that it was. Girl, please, you're just trying to take up for him, honey. You just going to defend his tyrant ways to try to keep the peace. I do not believe that you, after all these years of raising them alone, decided just when you get this man that y'all going to start taking doors off the hinge. As soon as he starts to talk, Kim scoots over and starts rubbing his arm. He's like, that's another show. Ha ha ha. Me and my mom, that's another show. Kim, release him. Move over to the other side of the couch and allow him to verbalize what is happening on his own. She's like, no, it's this is the one. Tracy's like, this is definitely the show that you need to be on. He said, I came here to find out about Konner and CJ and about our dynamic. And Tracy said, but the root is the way you were parented. And so she said, why do I feel like there's some anger here, but we aren't talking about it? Because you see the way she's rubbing his arm to keep him calm. You see the way that she's pacifying him so that the Hulk is not released. Honey, that's why you're picking up on that, baby. People can sense tension, anger. Look how she's sitting with her head held down. Like, you can tell there's some emotional, verbal, maybe even physical abuse happening, allegedly. Honey, because I don't want no problems. Kim said, there's definitely anger. Tracy said, well, let's talk about it. She said, okay, I'll let you talk. So then he said, well, how do you begin to resolve it? Tracy said, the anger is coming into this family system. That's why the sons want no parts, honey. Basically, I just judged it up, okay? Tracy said, I can't prove this, but I bet you that your kids feel like you chose him over them. And did, honey, and they do. Child, it ain't no way. She said, your parenting behavior is going in the direction of David. Yes, Tracy. Child, somebody pass the collection plate, because, baby, Tracy is giving a word. Child, so she's be too busy holding on to him that she can't see that her kids are hurting. So then Tracy said, if your kids, especially the younger one, felt like the love that you're giving David coming from you, he wouldn't be waiting for his escape from Alcatraz, honey. Child, she didn't say Alcatraz, but honey, y'all know I like to zhuzh it up. So then Kim said, well, speaking with Tracy was an aha moment. Honey, you didn't see this as a whole counselor? Don't you encounter kids that may be facing similar struggles, but you couldn't see it in your own home? Lady, wake up. Child, what kind of counselor are you? Tracy said, there's a sense that it can be us or it can be them. He said, no, they're a package deal. Tracy said, yes, your version of them. You're trying to change them into your version of a man. And Kim is basically saying, okay, go ahead. Be my guest. Here go Kim. Oh, no. Oh, honey, it's definitely a yes. Okay. She hasn't even been around the four of you and she can tell that. Girl, please. She's like, no, there's boundaries. Tracy said, well, not when there's no door. Honey, tell her. She said, if they got a sense that it was a package deal and you're coming in saying, wow, these kids are awesome, let me discover these kinds of kids, then they'll be more open to that. So then Kim said, yes, that would have been awesome. Baby David quickly gave her a look. Baby, he wants to come in and change everything. Do y'all hear me? He did not look happy. So she said they could have been unified and David could have joined their bubble, but instead you joined David's bubble and the kids feel abandoned. Tracy. Baby, you in these little open-toe shoes, honey. You are speaking your speech on this one. Please let her know. She definitely has her head in the clouds. That's what happens when you choose a man over your kids. So then he starts crying, but honey, I ain't buying it. I'm sorry. I'm just not moved by the tears. So Tracy told David he needs to have a conversation with his mom. Let her know what you needed as a child that you didn't get. And she's like, I can be there if you need some help. So he starts crying and saying his foundation is cracked. Well, honey, listen to me. You need real therapy, not Groupon therapy, okay? Because you're still very much broken and emotionally scarred. And then you add anger on top of that and resentment and everything is all bottled up. It's a recipe for singleness, okay? He doesn't need any type of relationship right now. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Him and Kim can be friends, but as far as being in a relationship, no. I just don't think that's the move. David gets up and walks out, but then he comes back in. He said he feels bad for coming in and messing their lives up, honey, as you should. So he's like, the boys don't feel emotionally safe with me. And so Tracy said, listen, the minute you own it, then they'll start to feel safe. She said, once you turn the light's on everywhere. We're healing our ancestors when we do this. Because this stuff is coming off the plantation. That's our legacy. This healing will be passed down. Honey, is Tracy biracial? Why does she keep saying our ancestors? I mean, I get the message, but the messenger is confusing me. And why are you referring to the plantation? Honey, I was so confused in this moment. I was like, okay, girl, what? Honey, I was with you, and then you start going towards the plantation and the ancestors. And I mean, Tracy's hair has a little bit of texture to it, but are you biracial? I really need to know that. So then David and his mom go to visit Tracy, right? And she tells his mom, so much of how you parent is passed down on him, and that's why he's parenting the way that he is. So his mom said, all she wants is for him to be happy, so she just endures whatever abuse he gives her, right? Tracy gives David the opportunity to tell his mom what he needs to tell her. And he said he's always wanted a relationship that he's never had. And in high school, he would get medals and she wasn't there. And he felt overlooked and thrown away. He said his mom was never there for him, right? He said he walked around like it was fine, but in reality, it really wasn't. She said, I know you didn't have a connection with me, but I love you. I know how it feels because my mom did the same thing to me. I never felt celebrated. She said, 6 was the first time that I got a real hug from my parent. And she's 69 and has never heard I love you. She's like, I know it's not an excuse, but it happened to me. And that's the way that I was raised. Listen to me. We have got to break that cycle. I didn't hear I love you growing up either. I just would be able to tell by their actions. And it is absolutely a generational thing. But guess what, honey? I have broken that generational curse because I know what I longed for. So sometimes you can go in the opposite direction as David did, and you can mimic exactly what it is that you went through, or you can go the route that I took. And I said to myself, you know what? When I get older and I have kids of my own, they will always know I love them. They will always know I care. I will show it. I will verbalize it because a child needs that. Because I know what I needed when I was younger. And let me tell y'all something, honey. I tell my son I love him every 5 minutes, even randomly. Sometimes I just go in his room and I say, Mommy loves you, or I just say it out of the blue. I say it several times a day. I hug him several times a day. I make sure I tell him how important he is, because the way that I did relate to David is him saying that he would have award ceremonies, and a lot of times she wouldn't pat him on the back or tell him good job or tell him that she's proud of him. And I experienced that as well at the hands of my own parents. I would come home so excited about an award, and I would say, look, Mommy, look what I got. And they told me that I ranked this, high in this and this thing. And it would basically be like, oh, okay, honey, that's good. But a child needs more from you. Okay. So I decided that I was going to be that parent that gave more. Also, we did go to counseling as well. And so that helped. And, we have a great relationship today's date, but it took some work. And baby, his therapist since 1997 didn't realize his root issue was lack of empathy and lack of love growing up. Child, what is happening? What kind of, baby, let me tell you something. Whoever this therapist is, please put them on the Twitter so that the Twitterverse can find them, honey, and get their job taken, honey. You are about to lose your job. Child, that ain't making no sense. You've done nothing since 1997. So then they have a family meeting, right? David apologizes to the children and says, I apologize to y'all both. Sir, honey, what about your son? Okay. Why would you let him sit there while you only apologize to Konner and CJ? So then he told Konner that, he's sorry after everything that they've gone through as a family, even apologized to the sister. His son said, people always said that we were a lot alike and we keep things in, and he's never really talked about his feelings. So seeing him do that for Kim's kids, and then he starts to cry. So his grandmother's like, it's okay. No, it is not. He is hurting as well. Honey, grown or not, he deserves the same energy that he is giving to her kids. And quiet as it's kept, I feel like he's only giving that energy to her kids in order to get the okay. I'm not sold. I'm sorry, I am just not sold. There's too much past trauma. There's too much resentment, too much anger. Those things have to be worked on. So I'm just not buying it, honey. It's hard for him to watch something that he never received. That's the problem. Oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay. He deserves an apology as well. Child, he apologized to everyone but his son. Baby, that made me mad. Also, Kim, you owe your sons an apology as well. You chose a man over your boys. They will not forget that. And they may resent you as well. So you are not innocent in this. Okay? You need to own up to what you did. Now we're on day 3. It's the last day. David still got on that sweater, honey, so he ain't changing his clothes or changing his behavior. The boys go outside to have a talk with Kim, right? So her youngest son said, how do you just forgive all the tears and anger you felt for so long? She skipped right on past him. And you, CJ? Girl, that is the problem. You are not listening. He just asked you a question. It needs a response. Child, Kim acts like something is wrong with her, honey. Oh, child. So then Kim said, do you feel like we can start over? Her older son said, yeah, if we all work together. Her younger son said, look, I ain't gonna forget what he did. She was like, oh, no, don't ever forget. You can forgive. Okay, but he needs to forgive on his own time as well. Okay? He needs to forgive and he needs to get past it on his own time. Kim, I don't like the way you parenting right now, honey. Maybe you did need some help and you thought that David was the help that you needed and you just made a bigger mess, because this right here is giving very much I don't know what's going on. Okay, I'm not in tune with my children. Girl, you are completely on the outside. They go to meet with Tracy one last time. Kim said her youngest said he would start over with David. David said he always wanted the conversation between him and his mom to happen, and he's so happy that it did. So Tracy said, so what do you think will happen in the blessing ceremony? So here go David. Well, I think my family is Team David, definitely. Yeah, because they're afraid of you. He's like, but on Kim's side, I'm clueless. I mean, well, that's the truest thing you've ever said, honey. You're definitely clueless. Clueless is right. So now it's time for the blessing ceremony. His cousin said, she saw an intangible change and they have her blessing. Girl, shut up. His son said, I see your growth and you have my blessing. That poor son. Child, it's a mess. His mom said, I was afraid of your anger, but now I see why you've been behaving the way that you have all these years, and so you have my blessing. Her sister said, she had some concerns at first, but she has gotten a chance to talk to him, and so she gave her blessing. Sister, no. Okay? We were counting on you to say no, honey. This man has not changed in 3 days. He has been in therapy since 1997. Your sister needs therapy too, honey, and now so do her sons. This is not a union that y'all should be blessing, but let me tell you something. This show is just a show, because regardless of whether or not they give their blessing to them, people are still going to do what they're going to do. But let me tell you something. Had they taken me, it would have been definitely a hell no. So then both of her sons said yes as well. Honey, I know the younger son didn't want to say yes, but he was like, you know what? I'm not being heard either way it goes, so let me just go ahead and say yes to make my mom happy. And then in the end, we found out that Kim and David are still together. Child, this episode was a mess. Let me know exactly how you feel down in the comment section below. This is my summation of this episode. I feel like Kim, your self-esteem is lacking. Your parenting skills are lacking. You're slipping and you're pimping, not paying attention to your children, and they feel abandoned and neglected. David, I do not think that this newfound David is going to last, because after one therapy session with Dr. Tracy, all of a sudden you're a changed man. I'm not buying it. Whoever that therapist is from 1997 needs to be fired. As far as his mom is concerned, Mom, I hope that you and David can both get counseling together so that you can work on some things that are happening in your relationship. And you may need to get some counseling separate outside of David. And child, I wish y'all all the best. Please don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.